The beauty of creating a build in Anthem is when you complete one, you'll come up with ideas for another. After making a well-rounded ranger build that had a tilt towards close-range melee combat, I thought it'd be fun to create a build that pushes my melee damage to its extremes, and I was right. Today we're going to go over my ranger melee build and talk about the strengths and weaknesses within. Let's get started. This build features a lot of the same pieces I used in the previous video, but there are some new additions that significantly up our performance at close range. Like last time, the centerpiece of this build is the cold-blooded Masterwork Frost Grenade. The cold-blooded's additional effect, Winter's Strength, grants you a buff that increases your melee damage by 135% for 10 seconds whenever the ice effect is applied to a target. Next is the Unending Battle Masterwork Machine Pistol. Its additional effect is called Gladiator's Wrath. Hitting an enemy at close range increases weapon and melee damage by 110% for 5 seconds. The first new item on the list is the Masterwork Assault Launcher Avenger's Boon. This upgraded Pulse Blast has the additional effect Striker's Strength. Hitting an enemy increases melee damage by 110% for 20 seconds. So far with all the buffs running, our melee damage is increased by 355%. But it gets better. I've added a Masterwork component, the Vanguard's Badge. This increases melee damage and electrical effects by 30%. Performing a melee kill also restores 20% of our shield. The final new components are Defensive Bulwark and Special Arms Ammo. Defensive Bulwark increases our weapon damage by 25%, and when our health gets low, increases it by an additional 25% for 10 seconds. Special Arms Ammo is increasing the damage of our machine pistol by 30%. For the final 3 slots and our second weapon selection, I could attempt to push my melee damage even farther, but just like last time, I want to have some versatility in my playstyle. Airborne Advantage increases my impact damage by 50% and reduces blast damage by 20%. My assault launcher and weapons do impact damage, so this is improving them. Tip of the Spear increases my combo damage by 50%, and successful combos heal myself and nearby allies. Pulse Blast has a very short cooldown and my melee is a primer, so I'll be comboing a lot. Finally, Badge of Devastation increases my assault launcher damage by 5%, and on a hit streak of 10, I gain a small amount of ultimate energy. It's roughly the same amount of energy you get from a combo. This pairs well with high rate of fire weapons like our machine pistol, the Unending Battle, and our second weapon, the Siegebreaker Masterwork Sniper Rifle. This high rate of fire sniper applies the freeze effect on a hit streak of 3. Okay, now that we know all the inner workings of this build, it's time to go back into the field for some testing. Alright, for today's testing we are diving into the final section of a contract on the Grandmaster difficulty, and this is going to be exciting because despite the fact that this build features a lot of the same components and weapons and things that we had previously, the rotation is going to feel a little bit different because of the way our abilities are structured. So we start things off by throwing a grenade to freeze that outlaw, use our Pulse Blast. Now we've got 2 out of the 3 buffs running at the same time. Hit him a little bit with our machine pistol, and we have all of our buffs together, and we do a lot of damage on them. So our Pulse Blast, our assault launcher ability, is going to be significantly more important to the general functionality of our build this time. Whereas the assault launcher that we had previously, the Seeking Missile, was not as vitally important to keeping our optimal damage going. So that's going to be something that we have to keep in mind. Also, the functionalities of the Pulse Blast are a little bit different than the Seeking Missile because they are great for shredding through shields. Now, these outlaws are giving me a run for my money, but thankfully, I shouldn't have rezzed that guy. I really shouldn't have done that. Thankfully, because I'm able to heal myself through both combos and melee kills, I can stay in the fight and brawl. The healing that I get from kills is not enough to save me from certain death, but assuming I'm not playing like a potato, it's enough to keep me in the fight and brawling. It makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. And despite the fact that the Ranger's melee ability is a primer, you can still use it to finish people off. You just have to weaken them a little bit first, and then you go in for the melee hit. And of course right now I don't have a lot of my buffs running, so the melee is significantly weaker. But when the buffs are going, it feels great. So let's get that Winter Strength. Boom, hit him with the combo. We have enough energy now for our ultimate, but what I want to do is shred that guy. We don't need to ultimate this single guy, but maybe we do because we're taking a lot of damage. There we go. But yeah, so the rotation is very similar to what we had before, but it's different in the sense that the assault launcher ability is significantly more important to our overall power this time, whereas before it was just a tool for comboing. Now it's a tool for shredding shields and also for increasing the effectiveness of our melee. Boom, get a nice combo on that guy. I don't think I'll need to use my pulse blast to get rid of this guy's shield. I'll just use the machine pistol throughout the freeze. Didn't freeze him, but that's okay. We can still beat his ass anyway. Or we can try. Okay, that got a little bit hairy for a second, but I do understand what was happening. Certain enemies in the game have elements attached to them, and they have resistances to the element that they are. And the storm enemy that I was fighting and hitting with my shock mace was the same element as my shock mace, so I wasn't doing any damage. You'll see if I go up to him right now and hit him with my melee, it does nothing to him because he is the exact same element as the melee. So that's going to make things a little bit awkward, but it's fine. There are plenty of other enemies for us to smack around with our mace. We can secure kills to restore our shields and allow us to continue staying in the fight and brawling. Now the majority of our buffs have fallen off. I threw that freeze grenade at the wrong time. You cannot apply the freeze effect while enemies have their shields. That's something you got to keep in mind. Now we've got to deal with this guy. We'll nearly pop his shield with our pulse blast. Gosh, these guys are giving me way more trouble than they should. Alright, so that's really going to be the gist of the build. We've seen it in action. We've seen the basic rotation. It can be tricky to keep all three buffs running at the same time, but you do your best to have them all active, and you will see great rewards from going in and being aggressive. You are a true You are a true brawler. You can stay in the fight and really dominate enemies as long as you are using every aspect of the kit correctly. So as long as you're activating your damage buffs on your melee, as long as you're killing some enemies with your melee to keep your health and shields topped off, you're gonna have great success. Boom. And of course, just like I mentioned last time, it is very important in this game to combo, even against simple targets that you can just gun down, normally because combos will feed your ultimate. And your ultimate is very strong. Oh, he has a shield. And I need to reload. I think he's the last one. Well, that seemed a bit excessive for just one outlaw, but in any case, that's going to conclude our build for the day. Comparing this to what we showed off last time, you could look at it as a straight upgrade, but I feel like it's more of an alternative. The previous build had a higher impact damage and higher combo damage, while this one had a significantly higher melee damage. So, you pick and choose what you want to do and what you want to specialize in when you make a build in Anthem. This go around, it's all about the melee. With all of that said, we're going to wrap things up here, but don't worry, there is plenty more Anthem gameplay coming. I'm going to start working on a Colossus overview and some Colossus builds, so stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed this video and you want to support the channel more than you already do just by liking, subscribing, commenting, and watching, you can head over to patreon.com/iBluairJgR to become a patron. As always, the name of the game is Anthem, the name of the channel is iBluairJgR. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.